beautiful pumpkin floral centerpiece for your fall celebrations. My favorite pumpkin to use is the white pumpkin. I've dubbed it the elegant pumpkin, but you can use any gourd or pumpkin that you want to. Orange and the other green gourds are beautiful to do the same technique with. So we're going to start. I'm going to show you the elements you need and then what the steps are so that you can recreate this easy and elegant centerpiece for your celebrations. We're going to start with a white pumpkin. You want to select a pumpkin that sits rather straight, and then what you want to do is take a plastic container. It can be this is from cottage cheese. You could use a plastic cup, just something that you can set down inside for the floral foam and the flowers to sit in. What I like to do is take the container and set it on the top and center it so that the flowers would be coming up straight. If we went on the center, it would be kind of off center, so we don't want to do that. We want to do that so that the flowers are straight. Then I just take a felt tip pen and draw a circle around so that we know what the size of the opening needs to be. Then what you will do is take your carving knife and go in at an inward angle and cut that section out and just kind of clean it out, scoop out all the guts of the pumpkin, and then it will be ready to paint. And I like to paint my white pumpkins pink sometimes. I have a lot of pink in my home, and this year for Thanksgiving my color scheme is pink and brown. So what I've done is I've gone to the craft store and picked up a pearlescent fuchsia pink glaze. It's a translucent glaze, and a champagne. I'm going to mix them together because I don't want my pumpkin to be fuchsia. I want it to be a soft pearly pink. And then I'm also going to dilute it with a little bit of kind of a whitish pearlescent medium as well. So I'm going to mix those up in here until I have the color that I want. And I'll paint the pumpkin, and then I'll spray it with a pearlized glaze fixative. So this is a clear sealer, but it has a pearlized finish rather than a glossy or a satin, and that will just give it a little bit more sheen. So those will be the elements that I'll be using. I just use a little sponge applicator to do that. After I cut the pumpkin, I'm also going to cut a piece of floral foam to fit down inside the container, and this time I'm going to measure the bottom circumference. Just kind of make a little cut around there, and then I will cut that piece out and probably half of another one till the container is full with the floral foam, and then I will pour some water in there so the foam will soak it up and be nice and wet for when I cut the flowers. So that is step 1 and 2 of beginning your pumpkin floral centerpiece. Okay, so now we're ready to go to the painting part. First, let me tell you something I forgot. Because I've only been able to find the pink in a fuchsia, what you're going to do is use that more as a tint. So you're going to use more of the white or this medium here. It's kind of an off-white color, or the champagne. So you'll use the pink just to tint it, or if you're going to use another color, you could use purple or green or brown, whatever color you want to use to coordinate for your color scheme. But I like pink. So I mixed them together, added a little water, just use a sponge tip paint applicator, and do long strokes, just kind of blending the paint out. Dab it into those little cracks and crevices, and make sure that you end up each section going from top or bottom to top or top to bottom so that you don't have a lot of streaks. And then you just keep going until you've got the pumpkin covered. If you want it a little darker, then you would do a second coat. And there you have it. Now we're ready to go to the next step, which is preparing the flowers to put inside the pumpkin. As you can see, I've picked up a fall bouquet that has some darker pinks and brighter pinks, some creamy colors, and then I've picked up a couple stems of white mums. These are just big mums. And what I'm going to do is cut the stems down and clean all the leaves off so that we can then put them into the florist foam, which we have soaking with water, and we will set that inside the pumpkin. Okay, now here's the fun part, doing your floral arrangement. As you can see, I've divided the flowers up into colors and styles. I have cut about half of what the stem was to get rid of all that. I've taken off pretty much all of the leaves. Now these flowers may get cut apart to a certain degree, or I may use them as an entire cluster. I've saved out the accent flowers so that I can put those in last where I would like them. We're going to start around the base closest to the pumpkin with these big fluffy flowers. What I want to accomplish is I want them to cover the rim of the container that's inside that has the foam. I don't want you to see this white rim around here, so we're going to cut them and put them in so that they will cover that up. Now you want to leave your stem long enough so that we'll reach down into the foam and get water. You want this to last for a few days. And you want to cut your stem at an angle, kind of a sharp angle, so that there's a point to stick into the foam. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sometimes, what I suggest is starting a little long. If you have to pull it out and cut it shorter, that's fine, but you cannot add the stem back on once you've cut it, obviously. So we're going to start out a little long, and we're going to make that nice and sharp, and then we're going to tuck it in. Now that is a little long, so I can go and take a little more off. I'm going to trim some of these little nubs off of here. Okay, and I'm going to stick it in so that it's covering the rim. And then I'm going to repeat that with the rest of these so that this entire, spacing them out so that they're slightly overlapping, pushing them all the way down. Like I said, you want these to last for a while. As you can see, those fill around the edge quite nicely. They're nice, big, fluffy flowers. White spider mums or any other really full flower. If you have an orange and gold color scheme, you could use maybe even sunflowers would work because they're nice and big. So we've got that covered around the perimeter here. Kind of fluff them down a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to fill in with the purpley colored mums. We're going to kind of tuck those in, and I think what we'll do is keep this little cluster in the top. We'll cut off the leaves, and we'll see how that sticks down in there. Now, you can make your arrangement as tall as you'd like. I like to keep the flowers kind of clustered fairly close. That way there, it doesn't get so tall that you can't use it on the table. Any centerpiece that you use on a table when you're eating, you want to have low enough so that the guests that are sitting across from each other can see each other over the centerpiece. So we're going to tuck this down into here, and we're going to have to shorten that stem a little bit. Okay, whoops. And you just kind of play around with it until it looks nice and full. And you just want to make sure those stems get down into that foam so they stay alive. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. Now I've filled in with the purpley pink mums, as you can see, trying to keep a nice shape, nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do is take my accent flower, the one that there was only one of, and cut it a little long, and I'm going to set it kind of off to the side, but slightly above, because I'm going to fill in with some of these white, kind of green and white mums. So that's going to set off to the side. And then I'm going to take these pink carnations. There were 3 of those. It's always nice to work in odd numbers when you have accent flowers. So I'm going to tuck those in among the purpley mums, just to kind of break those up a little bit. And I'm just going to space them around. You could cluster them together if you'd like, but I'm going to space mine out so that no matter where you sit at the table, you will see one. Okay, so we have our accent flower, and then the 3 carnations spaced around there. And next we're going to take the white mum, and we're just going to kind of fill in between. And sometimes these stems will kind of break, and if that happens you'll have to recut them or they won't receive any water. And that one's a little short, so I guess we need to cut them a little longer. These seem to have a little bit shorter stem, so maybe we have to leave them clustered a little bit. And we'll use them to give a little height in the center here. And it's really nice to use some that aren't quite open all the way as well. Once you've got it filled in nicely with some of the fuller ones, it's kind of nice to tuck some of the tighter blooms in. And hopefully they open up during the time frame that you have this out. Okay, and now we're done. And as you can see, we've filled in with all of the flowers. Again, you can use any kind of flower. I love to do this with roses and big white spider mums. I wanted this arrangement to be rather narrow for the use that purpose I'm using it for. If you wanted a wider arrangement, a more top-heavy arrangement, you would just cut your hole in the top wider, use a larger container, and then your flowers would obviously come out and be a little fuller. But like I said, I wanted this to be a tall, narrower arrangement. And that's it. Easy elegance. You can do this for your fall holidays.